In this tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to film stunning log video using the LogCam app for iPhone. LogCam unlocks powerful features like OpenGate internal recording in Apple Log 2, Sony S-Log and ARRI Log-C, in professional codecs like ProRes and HEVC 444, even on older iPhones. It achieves this by tapping directly into the raw image pipeline and transcoding it on the fly, giving you video that's free from the aggressive image signal processing baked into every other camera app. Thanks to Sebastian, the developer of LogCam, for sponsoring this tutorial. There are chapters built into the player so you can jump to exactly what you need, and the app is linked in the pinned comment if you want to check it out. Now, let's dive in. The first thing you'll want to do after launching LogCam is configure your capture settings. Not all features and settings will run smoothly on all models of iPhone, so treat this as a general guide. At the end of the video, I'll show you how to find the best combinations of settings appropriate to your specific hardware. But what I show you now should work well on devices as old as the iPhone 13. Let's start by tapping the resolution button in the lower right of the interface. Here you can choose between 4K OpenGate, which uses the full sensor area of 4032 by 3024, or 4K UHD, which uses a standard 16 by 9 crop on the sensor and delivers 3840 by 2160. I'll choose OpenGate and tap outside to close. Next, tap to open settings, also in the lower right. Here's how I configure it on my iPhone 13 mini, iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro. I start by enabling the grid and horizon indicator options. Next, I turn stabilization off. Stabilization is best handled in post as it adds extra processing load during capture. I'll show you how to stabilize your video in Resolve later. Then, enable the histogram, which is essential for evaluating exposure. I set zebras to 95%. This next step, lens calibration, can be very important. Without it, you might discover you have magenta in your highlights. Tap Calibrate, select your lens, then tap Continue. Then point your camera at a very bright light source. This can be the sun or even a lamp or torch. Then tap Start Calibration and Capture. And you're done. Your iPhone's white point has been identified. Next, I like to make sure that vignette correction is enabled. Then I make sure that noise reduction is disabled. This adds extra processing when enabled and is best handled in post. For debayer quality, I like to set this to normal. To my eyes, it delivers a softer, more organic level of detail and once again puts less pressure on the device compared to the higher quality option. Next, let's set our video codec. LogCam makes HEVC available in two flavors, 420 and 444. The latter delivers incredibly rich color information but is more processor intensive. If your device struggles with 444, drop down to 420. HEVC supports bit rates up to 300 megabits per second, but you should test to find the maximum your device can handle reliably. On the iPhone 13 and newer, including non-Pro models, you can also shoot in ProRes. ProRes LT is actually less demanding than HEVC 444 and is an excellent choice as it delivers 422 color and manageable file sizes. I'll choose that for now. Next, let's select our color preset. This defines the log curve for our recording. LogCam supports all the most popular transfer functions, including Apple Log 1 and 2, ARRI Log-C, Sony S-Log, and Fuji Log. Choose the one that best fits your workflow. I'll choose Apple Log 2. Under zoom when focusing, I'll enable 5x. This will become useful when we set focus manually, but more on that shortly. And lastly, for frame rate, I'm going to set this to 24 FPS, then tap outside to close. Before we move on, there's just one more key setting to address. Tap the storage indicator in the upper left. By default, LogCam records internally. If you're on an iPhone 15, 16, or 17 with USB-C, you can also record directly to an external SSD by selecting External. I'll leave this set to Internal. This particular iPhone has a Lightning connector, which is just too slow for reliable external recording, then tap outside to close. With our settings now configured, let's learn how to set focus, exposure, and white balance in LogCam, starting with focus. Unlike other video apps, the raw pipeline LogCam uses does not support autofocus during recording. In fact, Apple's raw imaging pipeline is so fragile that adjusting manual focus mid-capture can force your recording to end unexpectedly. This is something only Apple can fix. Until they do, the rule is simple. Set and lock your focus before you hit record, and don't touch it until you've stopped. To set focus, tap on your point of interest. This disables autofocus. You can tap a new point to change focus, or tap the focus button and then reset tap focus to return to autofocus. If you tap record while autofocus is still enabled, your focus value locks automatically at that moment and returns to auto only when you stop your recording. For manual focus, tap the focus button and select MF. As you drag the focus slider, the overlay turns transparent and the viewfinder zooms into 5x to help you nail focus precisely, which is why we enable that option under settings. Release the slider and you zoom back out, and note your current focus value is displayed here. You can technically adjust focus manually during a recording, but doing so will frequently cause the recording to fail, so consider yourself warned. Now you know how to set focus in LogCam, let's learn to expose our image correctly. The good news is that unlike focus, auto exposure is fully supported during capture. The most important thing to understand is that the native preview does not accurately reflect what you're actually capturing. Apple's native preview is fully tone mapped to produce a punchy, contrasty image. To see what's really being recorded, tap the look button in the lower right. Now you're seeing the actual log image, in my case Apple Log 2. To conserve processing resources, LogCam automatically switches back to Apple's native preview as soon as you begin recording. So the accurate log preview is only available prior to capture. That said, even in the native preview, highlight clipping is still often visible, so it's not entirely without value. But for best results, regardless of which preview you're using, keep your eye on the histogram. Tap it for a larger view, tap again to minimize. The histogram displays RGB clipping indicators that alert you when you're losing highlight detail in one or more channels. While tapping a point of interest sets both focus and exposure simultaneously, for best results you should set exposure manually. Tap the exposure icon in the upper right. It defaults to auto. You can enable lock at start to lock exposure as soon as you hit record. And to go fully manual, tap manual. Here you can set shutter speed and ISO. Just like the focus slider, tapping and dragging either slider clears the overlay so you can better judge the effect on your image. Use the histogram to dial in exposure until you're no longer clipping your highlights. LogCam even supports shutter priority mode. Set your desired shutter speed, say 1/48, then tap the manual ISO value to set it to auto. Now, only your ISO will respond automatically from that point. I'll revert to full manual for now and tap outside to close. Note that in manual exposure mode, your current shutter speed is displayed beneath the exposure icon. With look enabled, 2 additional exposure tools become available. Tap the icon directly above the look button to enable false color, which color codes IRE ranges for full scene evaluation. Tap the icon again to switch to zebras. The zebra pattern appears at the threshold we set earlier, 95% IRE in my case, giving you a warning just before complete highlight clipping occurs. Under settings you can set this anywhere from 70% up to 100%. Tap once more to return to the default look preview. Next, let's turn to white balance in LogCam. White balance defaults to auto. Tap on white balance and you'll see an option to lock at start. I recommend enabling this to prevent fluctuations during a take. Setting accurate white balance is straightforward. Hold up a white balance card, fill as much of the frame as possible, then hit record. Lock at start captures that value and holds it for the entire clip until you end the recording. If you prefer, tap manual to specify temperature and tint directly. Personally, I prefer to use auto with lock at start enabled. Now, let's look at how to import and apply LUTs in LogCam. To enable LUT functionality, you first need to place your LUT files in LogCam's dedicated LUT folder. You'll find it in the Files app under On My iPhone, LogCam, LUTs. LogCam supports 33-point LUTs in the .cube format. I'll paste one here now. Back in LogCam, the LUT I just copied to the directory is automatically detected and a new LUT button appears in the upper left next to the storage indicator. Before applying a LUT, you must enable Look if you want to preview the results, as LUTs are not shown in Apple's native preview. Tab LUT and use the arrow stepper to select your file. Then choose whether to bake it into the recording or use it as a monitor LUT only. Baking a LUT into your recording does add an additional layer of processing, so test this on your device before relying on it in the field. To disable a LUT, tap the LUT button and step back to None. If you don't have a custom LUT but want a Rec 709 preview while shooting, open Settings and enable Rec 709 Gamma Assist for log. This applies a display-only transform in the preview when Look is enabled, making it much easier to evaluate exposure than working from the log image. Now you know how to capture with LogCam, let's look at how to get your footage into an edit ready for grading. By default, all recordings are saved to LogCam's internal storage directory, accessible via the Files app under On My iPhone, LogCam. From here you can save your clips to your Photos library for easy access in most editing apps, or import directly from the LogCam directory in apps that support it like LumaFusion. To import footage on a Mac or PC, connect your iPhone, select it in the Finder or Apple devices on Windows, click Apps, then click LogCam, select your clips and copy them to your computer. And now they're ready for editing in your NLE of choice. I personally recommend DaVinci Resolve. Because I disabled stabilization prior to capture to reduce system pressure during recording, I'm going to need to stabilize my handheld shots in post, and DaVinci Resolve is perfect for this. Simply select a clip in your timeline, then under the Video Inspector scroll down to Stabilization and try one of the 3 stabilization types: Perspective, Similarity, and Translation, to see which is the most effective. Typically, I'll use perspective 70% of the time and look at just how good a job it does. Next, let's talk about grading your LogCam video. Because LogCam lets you choose from the most popular industry standard log curves, grading is straightforward. Because I filmed in Apple Log 2, I can just apply any LUT designed for Apple Log 2 in DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut, LumaFusion, or any other NLE with support for cube LUTs. If you film in Arri Log C, then Arri's official Rec 709 LUT, which comes built into DaVinci Resolve, will instantly deliver pleasing results. LUTs are just one option. Another excellent way to transform your log video is using film emulation plugins like FilmConvert, Dehancer, and FilmBox, which all have native support for the log profiles offered in LogCam. Just match the camera source to whichever log curve you shot within LogCam, and you instantly have a stunning film emulation. And a final way to quickly grade your log video if you're using DaVinci Resolve is to use the color space transform. This lets you instantly convert your log footage to Rec 709 so it's ready to share. You can also use this tool to convert your log flavor to any other, making it perfect for camera matching. Because LogCam transcodes the raw image stream on the fly, it's significantly more processor intensive than any other video app on iOS. Not all features will run reliably on every device, and record times will vary, so testing your hardware before critical shoots is essential. If you encounter recording errors, the first thing to try is force closing the app and relaunching it. That will often restore functionality. Additionally, always ensure you have plenty of storage space available. If you're using LogCam on an older iPhone, it's also a good idea to check your battery health under Settings and make sure it is showing as normal. If your battery gets too degraded, Apple will apply aggressive throttling to your device, which can impact performance. And lastly, ensure that low power mode is not enabled. If you continue to experience issues recording with LogCam, there's a clear hierarchy of features to try dialing back until you find a baseline that works reliably. Let's begin with the most intensive features first, starting with frame rate. This is the single biggest factor. Reducing frame rate from 30 FPS to 24 or 25 frees up substantial processing headroom. Next is resolution. OpenGate generates far more raw data per frame than 4K UHD. Switching to UHD can make a meaningful difference when it comes to performance. DBA quality and noise reduction both have a similar performance impact for comparatively minor image quality gains. Using normal quality and disabling noise reduction is a great way to improve stability. Stabilization also adds a meaningful processing load and can cause recordings to terminate unexpectedly. Consider disabling it and stabilizing in post. As for bit rates, higher bit rates increase encoding pressure. Reducing bitrate is a straightforward way to ease the load. When it comes to chroma subsampling, 444 is more demanding than 420 in HEVC. If you're struggling with 444, dropping to 420 or ProRes LT may help. Vignette correction adds a small amount of processing overhead during capture, but try and keep this enabled. And lastly, disabling baking a LUT into your recording can also improve capture performance. In my case, using the iPhone 13 mini, I can successfully record in 4K OpenGate at 24 FPS in HEVC 444 with vignette correction enabled and stabilization disabled. If I need longer run times, I'll switch to ProRes LT. With some experimentation, you'll soon find a settings profile that delivers consistently reliable results. Now you know how to configure, shoot, and grade your logcam video. I hope this tutorial helped. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.